Full time at Molineux, Wolves 0, Arsenal 2. I am buzzing after that. That's a really fantastic result for Arsenal. It wasn't a thrilling game, particularly in the first half, certainly up until the Arsenal goal. It did have that kind of training ground feel, but maybe Mikel Arteta will be pleased about that because it looked like some of the work that he's been doing on the training ground paid dividends today. You know, if you look at that Arsenal back three, Mustafi, Luiz, Kolasinac. Could you think of three more sort of potentially error-prone players to have in a defensive unit? And today, they looked relatively solid. And I think the credit for that has to go partly to the players, but also to the manager for finding a system that protects them, that suits them. This is not an Arsenal team packed with individual quality. And yet, what we did today, we showed that we could rely on our structure. An Arsenal team with structure, with a spine, with a shape, that has not been something we've seen too much of in recent years. So credit to Mikel Arteta. All that work on positioning, all that work on zones, all that work on getting the distances right between the defence and the midfield, between the midfield and the attack, it is beginning to pay dividends. And Arsenal didn't play superbly in this match. I thought in possession they lacked quality at times. Ceballos, wasn't at the level that he was in the last game. At times, without Pepe there, we struggled for an exit ball. And Luiz was sort of having to try and do it all on his own at times from centre half. Clearly, there's a quality deficit here. But to get results kind of in spite of that is really impressive. 3 consecutive away wins, another clean sheet too for Emi Martinez, who I thought was fantastic. If you think of the players that without, Bernd Leno, Pablo Mari, who, given that he played against Man City, Arteta clearly values very highly. He brought Cedric in today. It was kind of a very makeshift, unfamiliar back 5, back 6. And yet we've kept that clean sheet against some of the most dangerous players in the league in terms of Traore and Jimenez. I also thought Arteta's game management really came to the fore today. His decisions on substitutions have been questioned, and that's kind of natural. It's a learning curve for him. But he got a lot right today. I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised when he withdrew Kieran Tierney and put Ainsley Maitland-Niles on. How wrong I was. Maitland-Niles barely put a foot wrong in his half hour on the pitch, helped quieten down Traore, was quite effective at both ends, really. Was prepared to go shoulder to shoulder with people. He is that good stand-up tackler, as other people have pointed out. And I thought he had an excellent cameo on the left-hand side. Other changes, Joe Willock and Lacazette both came on. Willock squared for Lacazette to score the second. And I have to say, I was delighted for him. And I'm sure you were too. Even if you think maybe Lacazette's time with Arsenal might come to an end this summer, he has really, really been desperate for that goal, particularly on the road. And he took it very, very well. The first touch to set it up was fantastic. And the finish was clinical. And maybe, you could see the delight all across his face. Maybe you could derive some confidence from that. We could use him, certainly, between now and the end of the season. As for the opening goal, Bukayo Saka, his first appearance since that big contract, and he marked it with a goal. Look, it wasn't a role that necessarily suited him tremendously on that right-hand side. That's wrong. I think it could suit him one day, but it's not a role he's familiar with. So there were times where he looked a little bit uncomfortable, didn't seem to know whether he should be coming short or going in behind. That'll come, and I'm sure he'll play in other areas of the pitch as well. But the finish was fantastic. And a nice overlapping run from Tierney to set it up. This is really, really positive for Arsenal's league position. It helps, the positive mood around the club that's building all the time. Arsenal up to 7th now, 3 points off Wolves, 6 points off Chelsea, 7 points off Manchester United in 4th. But I think, we are looking strong contenders now for European football. And I can't help but look at Tottenham Hotspur, 9th place. They've got a game in hand, but they're 4 points below us. We're going there very soon for the North London derby. I think setting Europe aside and the sort of financial consequences of that, it would be fantastic for Arsenal to finish above Spurs this season. And the way those two teams look and the momentum that Arsenal have right now, you'd have to say they've got a really fantastic chance. But credit to Mikel Arteta today. I think this is his victory as much as anybody's. And I'll speak to you after the next game, which is against Leicester City on Tuesday. Another big match in this big run of fixtures for Arsenal. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Come on the Gunners.